G minor. Hello everyone, welcome to this video in which I'm going to show you 10 must-know minor jazz licks. This video has two parts. This is part 1, right here on YouTube, which I'm going to show you 5 of those must-know minor licks. And then there will be a part 2 with 5 more licks, but that video is exclusively for my patrons. So if you want to see that video, check out my Patreon. There's a link to that in the description and you will get access to that video for only $5. Now, this video is based on an earlier video I made, which is called 10 levels of E minor chords. And I showed you 10 ways to play E minor chords, from very basic to more exotic ways of playing E minor. So if you haven't seen that video, go check out that video. There's a link to that in the description. But when I showed those chords in that video, I also played a short improvisation that went with each chord. And many people have asked me to transcribe those little solos. And I did that, and I discovered that the licks that I'm playing in those solos, those are must-know minor licks for me, because I use them all the time. And they are based, of course, on the many transcriptions I have made over the years. And I think they are really cool licks. So I transcribed them, and we're just going to go in order. So I'm going to start with level 1, which was called First Guitar Lesson. Let's watch a clip from the video to see what happened there. So the chord was just this E minor chord, but that's not important. Let's go to the transcription. It sounds like this: 3, 4, 1. It's a basic bluesy lick, but it's one that I use all the time. And there's two principles in this lick that are very important. The first one is the double stop. Right? So that is a double stop that works especially well on minor chords. It doesn't really matter if it's E minor or E minor 9 or E minor major 7. Doesn't really matter. You can just play that bluesy double stop. Preferably with a slide, it makes it even more bluesy. And the other principle is this: when you play the A on E minor, so that's 11, but then you play this little trill, or you could slide it like this, and you can play this in multiple octaves, right? And that happens here too, because there you have it again. And I'm also doing this, it's the same principle. I have the A, the 11, and I just slide to that A with the B flat. But this rhythm is very cool. That's the third bar. Very easy to find. You just put your third finger on the root of the minor chord, and it's all there. If you want to practice that, then I could suggest finding a backing track of a song like So What, right? That's in D minor. So then you could play it here. Or you can take a backing track on my YouTube channel called Modal Backing, and that's in A minor. It's A minor and G minor, and then you can play it here. Let me give you a little example of that, and I will only do it for this lick because it's the same principle every time. So I will go to the backing track on my channel called Modal Backing. Again, link in the description. And the track starts with, I think, like 16 bars of A minor. So I'll just play that lick in A minor. Now it goes to G minor track. Then of course you start experimenting with the phrase. You don't have to play it exactly like this, just experiment with the elements. This element. Play your own licks and try to surround this little lick with your own stuff. Like this, maybe. G minor. Like that. And of course, if you watch the whole video, you'll have 5 more licks. And with the Patreon video, you have 10 licks. So let's go to lick number 2. So this level is about this chord. It's E minor at 9. But again, we're not gonna look at the chords. It's about the phrase. So it's a ballad tempo and it goes like this. 1, 2, 3. Now the progression on the backing track is E minor, and then it's a 2-5, F sharp half diminished to B7 to E minor. But it doesn't really matter if you have just a long minor chord, right? Maybe a modal backing track, or maybe you're playing Dinah and the bridge is in minor. It doesn't matter if you play B7, because it's just a sound that resolves to E minor. So in fact, if there is a modal song like So What, I'm actually thinking most of the time D minor, A7, D minor. I would constantly be playing phrases that fit on A7 altered and resolve to D minor, even though the rhythm section might only be playing D minor. The third bar, that's a phrase for B7 altered. And it's super easy to find because my first finger is on that root of B7, right? I'm thinking B7. Just try it out, it's super easy. In the first bar, that's typical BeBop-y phrase for a minor chord. And that's, I see like it's on this position of E minor. It's a ballad in the original video, so it's all 16th notes, but you could easily play this as 8th notes, like 1, 2. Let's go to lick number 3. So this starts with an E minor arpeggio with an added 9. So we get this. You can call that 1, 2, 3, 5, right? 1, the root, 2, 3, 5, or 1, 9, 3, 5. But 1, 2, 3, 5 sounds better. This is a Stochel-Rosenberg lick. And then I'm playing something for B7. That's a diminished arpeggio, starting from the D sharp. That's something that fits really nicely over B7. But again, you can play it on top of E minor as long as you resolve it. So I play that. And that's a really cool triplet lick for E minor 6. With the 6 here with the C sharp. And not that hard to play. I mean, you have to practice it, but it's doable. Let's say we want to play it in A minor, then you would play starting with the first finger, of course, because this starts with an open E string, but then you can just play it like this. Let's go to lick number 4. So this level was about those famous chords from So What. Right, original is in D minor. And the phrase that I play sounds like this. 3, 4, 1, 2. So this thing, that's a typical minor trick when you play a triad and you can walk the root down. Right? So I do that, but then the root is the top note. And then I go to a lick for B7 altered. And that altered phrase comes literally from my book about the Van Hemert system, which is my fretboard visualization system. I will link a relevant video about my altered shapes in the description, but it's literally from that system. And notice again, it's from this position of E minor, right? I see this chord. Let's go to the final lick, lick number 5. This one is called 007, which is the code of James Bond, and that's because the tune of James Bond ends with this chord. And this lick also ends with that chord. The lick goes like this: 1, 2. So it starts with a G major 7 arpeggio up, and that's a trick that I use all the time. When you have a minor chord, you think about the third of the minor chord, so in this case the third is a G, and then you play the major 7 arpeggio. And I go back with a triplet, and you can go back all the way if you want, but here I just go down to 1 octave. And I start, by the way, with the major 7 of the major 7 arpeggio. I think that's a nicer effect than starting on the third, because then you would end on the third also. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's just cooler to end on the 9, so you have to start on the 9 too. And then there's another altered lick, B7 altered. And that's another lick from my system, so if you watch the video about the altered shapes, it will be in there. So 5 licks with a lot of principles you can use. The bluesy principle, that altered lick for B7, the arpeggio up, the Stochler-Rosenberg arpeggio, the diminished arpeggio for B7, and then that -6 triplet lick, the root that you can walk down, the altered lick, and then finally the major 7 arpeggio. So all these principles you can practice on modal backing tracks, and I promise you, you will sound great doing that, because those are time-tested principles pretty much used by all jazz guitar players in the history of jazz. Those tricks work every time, they sound great. That was it for this video. Of course, there will be a second part. If you want to have a taster, go watch the original video. You can see the 5 remaining licks. And if you want to have the tab and the explanation, then you can join my Patreon, link in the description. If you like this video, like it, perhaps subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!